Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our midday webinar on this Friday afternoon. Hope all is well. Cold, no doubt, but good to see you all here. We're expecting a few dozen this afternoon, so if you could just bear with us, we'll keep the doors open for another minute or so, just to give folks a chance to come in. Normally, people skate in from one Zoom or Teams meeting to another. Nowadays, that's the way of the world, but fingers crossed we're going to be moving back to a lot more face-to-face events as the year unfolds, which I'm sure is good news for all of us. But certainly these Friday webinars are going to continue because they are proving to be very valuable to our members, which is excellent. So we'll just give it till a couple of minutes past as more and more people come in, and then we'll make a start. So just bear with us. But in the meantime, you might like to pop on to slido.com and enter the code for today, which is hashtag LM210122. Howard will tell you more about that in a moment. But it is the clock has ticked round to 2 minutes past, so we'll make a start for those of you that are here. So very good afternoon. My name is Andrew Carpenter. I am Chief Executive of both the Structural Timber Association and Constructing Excellence in the Southwest and the Midlands. And we're joined in hosting these webinars by a myriad of CE family regions from around the screen, as you can see. I won't read them all out, but all my colleagues from around the UK now support this series of webinars, and also the CIOB. So quite a good deal of hosts for you, bringing these Friday webinars to you. I'm delighted to say that today, the second of our 2022 program, is brought to you by Western College. And I'm delighted to say that Louise Green and Ben Hodder are here from Western, together with Mike Hudson, who's going to be talking about the Constructing Lives Together project. I'm going to hand over to Howard now and take us through the house rules before we introduce the speakers. Thank you, Howard.
Thanks very much, Andrew, and good afternoon to everyone. We're going to be using Slido today. I think many of you may well be familiar with how we use it, but for those of you who aren't, you can access Slido one of two ways. You can use QR Reader, or you can go to Slido by going slido.com and putting in today's code, which is hashtag LM210122, which is today's date. We're going to be using Slido in three ways. An opening poll, which I'll take you through in a minute. We'll also use Slido for questions. So if you have questions for the speakers, can you please put those into the Q&A slot on Slido? You have the chance for everyone to see the questions. If you think one question in a list is more meritorious than another, by all means hit the thumbs up and it will progress up towards the top. So please do that. And lastly, when we leave, we do have, just before the end, we will put up an exit poll. We would appreciate your views as feedback as to how today went. So I think if we're all ready, please let's go to the Slido poll. So Abraham, if you can put that up on the screen. So the first question we have you considered that a college can support you with your talent strategy across the business? So choose the answer that you have for there, yes or no, and we'll move on quite quickly to the next question. Are you confident in your training needs for the future? Simple yes, no, not sure. If we move on to the third question, do you know how to engage in funding? And we'll move on to the fourth question. Do you see the future of your business changing with the green agenda? Yes, no, not sure. Before I move on to the last one, please don't feel I'm hustling you, because you can continue to answer these questions because the feedback on your views will be given after the speakers have given their presentation. So the last question, how confident are you in employing young people? So once you send this in, we can see how many people have responded on the top right. So 10 people have. So please carry on answering these questions. And I'm now going to hand back to Andrew. So over to you, Andrew.
Thank you very much, Howard. Yes. Okay. So late last year, the Board of Constructing Excellence Southwest had an away day where we took a good hard look at what we were doing and how we were doing it, and sort of reorganized the structure of how we were going to deliver the priorities for 2022. And there was no doubt that future skills really featured very strongly in terms of what we thought should be a priority. So we're delighted that colleagues from Western College can join us today, not only to talk about their offer in particular, but also to talk about the Constructing Lives Together project, which is being carried out with the CITB. So Louise, Ben and Mike, I'm delighted that you could be with us today to share your knowledge and your experiences. And ladies and gents, as our three speakers obviously do their presentation, please go to slido.com with any questions that you may have, and then I'll put them to the speakers at the end of the presentation. But I think probably without further ado, Louise, are you leading on this one?
I am indeed, yes.
Okay, so I'm going to mute myself, you'll be pleased to know. I'm going to shut my video and I'm going to leave it to you three. Thank you.
That's lovely. Thank you so much, Andrew. My name's Louise Green. I am the Business Growth and Employer Partnership Manager here at Western College. And I'm joined by Ben Hodder, Dean of Faculty for Construction, and also Mike Hudson, who is the Project Manager for the Constructing Lives Together project that we are currently running. So without further ado, I will start my presentation to share my screen. Lovely little picture of Western. So let me just click through. So Western College, we started off as a typical college in the Southwest, and over the last 15 years, we have experienced exponential growth. We have taken ourselves from being a college that was in need of improvement some years ago through to an outstanding training provider now in the Southwest. So just to give you a bit of an overview about the size of the college and kind of what we're where we're kind of located in Western. In 2015, we saw the growth of our Engineering and Technology Centre, which is based on our Locking Road site, which is this building down here. And this building houses, as I say, the Engineering and Technology Centre. So we deliver all of our engineering provision for sort of GKN, Rolls-Royce, MOD, and as well as in the construction field. So we have a civils lab and a future technology in construction building as well. On this site, we also deliver all of our construction trades courses and other white-collar courses in construction. In 2017, we saw the birth of our Law and Professional Services Academy, which is this building up here. This is where we deliver a lot of our university centre courses, so our degree level programmes. In 2019, we also saw the birth of the Health and Active Living Centre, which is this building here. One of the things that Western College does incredibly well is to listen to employer needs and understand the local skills gaps. So all of these provisions have been built with industry at the heart. So the Health and Active Living Skills Centre is right next to Western General Hospital. We have a simulation centre there for people to go and do their on-ward experience. So there's lots of state-of-the-art technology in there. Also in 2019, we saw the birth of our Construction Training Centre. This is a more commercial arm of the college in the sense that we deliver construction courses ranging from SMSTS through to scaffolding, COTS courses, and also various different plant, but I'll talk more about that a bit later. In 2020, we saw the birth of our animal management centre out at Puxton Park, and again, in response to employer need locally, we support a lot of the, I guess, sort of animal attraction places locally. So we've got like Noah's Ark Zoo, Bristol Zoo, and many other locally. So we do very much invest in the local skills needs. So Western College, our motto is creating brighter futures. And just to give you a bit of an idea about what our provision actually looks like, we deliver 16 to 19 traditional education to over 9,000 learners. We support over 6,000 learners through our adult courses and adult provisions. We are located in 19 prisons across the country, across the southwest and southeast, where we deliver training and education to people in custody. We deliver over 2,000 apprenticeships in the local region as well, and our reach for apprenticeship delivery goes all the way up to sort of Gloucestershire, round to Wiltshire, down even into Bournemouth and Dorset, right the way down to North Devon. We deliver higher education to over 1,000 students from our university centre, and also we support 1,500 plus learners through our SEND provisions. So that's a bit of an overview about the college and our key streams of delivery. I'm going to hand over now to Ben Hodder to be able to talk about the curriculum in construction. So over to you, Ben.
Hi everyone. So myself being Ben Hodder, and I'm the Dean of Faculty for the construction. So I oversee the commercial as well as the more traditional apprenticeship, and for those learners who have left school and want to come and do a full-time course. I also am situated over 2 campuses. So I am at the Southwest Skills campus as well as the commercial campus, which is located just on the motorway junction here. We offer a range of courses that can suit your needs. What we tend to offer is people who are 16 to 19, have you just left school, people who normally have just finished their GCSEs and want to progress into the construction industry. We also look at adults, and currently at the moment there are a lot of adults out there who are wanting to retrain, so we make sure that we have a provision that sits around their personal circumstances. We do a lot of evening courses and Saturday courses as well. We have the traditional apprenticeships as well, where we work with our apprenticeship teams and we work with our employers to make sure that our learners are getting on-site experience and that they are in a paid job, and the training runs alongside that. We also run traineeships as well, which is a bit of a hybrid role. It sits between an apprenticeship and a full-time college course. It's for individuals who are keen to get into industry, get into construction, but might not have been able to make those industry connections or lucky enough to find an employer who is willing to support them. We obviously have a range of commercial training through our centres, so we can do things from CSCS cards all the way up to quite niche specialist training, site management, site supervision courses as well. And as well, we've got a higher education provision where we look at our construction professionals as well. So things like civil engineering, quantity surveying. So my shortest course is only a couple of hours. My longest course is 5 to 6 years of training through. I think we probably think more about, when we think construction, we think about what we term as like the muddy boot trades. So we would do plasterers, bricklaying and carpenters, and more so now is more the maintenance operatives as well. We run our traditional building services, being plumbers and electricians, and we run these up to level 3. And then we have our construction professions. So we're looking at site management, surveyors, architects and quantity surveyors. At the CTC, our commercial training centre, we run a lot of construction operative trainers. So excavator, forklift, dumper, telehandler and roller courses. But we also have a mechanical wing as well. So we can offer HGV, and particularly it's being quite heavily focused in the news at the moment about the shortage of the HGV drivers. We now run a commercial wing for HGV trainers, as well as some of the government incentive boot camps as well. We have a plant yard, so we can do 180, 360 excavators as well. And I also have a light motor vehicle wing as well, so we can do automotive training as well under our remit. Can you just move on one, please, Lou? So something that we are very keen to do is we've set up something within the college which is called a Careers Excellence Hub. It's all very well about me teaching about construction, about teaching about what it's like to be in industry, but I've been out of industry for a little while. What I'm very keen to do is to work with employers to be able to build a program that is able to support specific training needs of those employers, being able to give learners a better understanding about what site is like. So these here are some of the companies that we link with, and these companies are very keen to support us to be able to tailor make some of our provision and to be able to deliver on our courses. They might provide specialist materials, they might provide guest speakers, they might provide site tours, and for us, that's what gives us the edge, our unique selling point for our courses, because our courses are supported by industry, and we're very keen and very proud of this to continue this. And if there's anyone who's interested to explore this further with us, I'll be very keen to have a discussion of how you can support how you can support our delivery. As well as this, we have industry advisory groups. So we like to invite industry in to come and talk to me, come and talk to my teaching team, and tell us about what's going on in the local area. Tell us about what's happening in industry. Tell us about all the things that are up and coming, the things that we might not fully understand, things that we might not fully be able to forecast. So we're very keen on our employer relationships and our employer forums to help our learners to make that transition from college into industry.
Thanks, Ben. So just to start looking at some of these provision areas in a little bit more detail. So apprenticeships. Now, in line with the government agenda in terms of upskilling for the future, around apprenticeships at the moment, there are up to £4,000 available for employers to claim with taking on apprentice. So up until the end of January, obviously we're just waiting for the new funding guidance to come out post 31st of January. But at the moment, an employer who takes on an apprentice of any age will receive a £3,000 incentive. If that apprentice that you take on happens to be between the ages of 16 and 18, there'll be an additional £1,000 paid as well to support that learner. Employers can use this £4,000 or £3,000, depending on what type of apprentice you take on. You can use this in any way you see fit. You can reinvest it into more skills and training development or into equipment for your learner. Traineeships, so Ben touched on these earlier. There are £1,000 per traineeship placement offered by an employer, and as Ben said earlier, they are almost like an opportunity to step into an apprenticeship. So, as an employer, if you're looking at potentially front-loading a traineeship opportunity leading into an apprenticeship, obviously that could take your potential up to £5,000 worth of incentive. There's a lot of emphasis at the moment with adult training and these skills boot camps that are all funded through the DFE. As Ben mentioned earlier, we're delivering the HGV boot camp, which is an opportunity for people to either retrain. They don't necessarily need to be unemployed. You might be working in Tesco's, want to get into another field, but that training is available at the moment. The fully funded level 3, so the National Skills Fund, this is for any adults who are looking for skills development and training development. Anyone who has, any adult over the age of 19 who does not currently hold a level 3 qualification can access particular courses for free through this programme. And T levels, the T level agenda or technical levels are due to be phased in to replace what we all probably know as the BTEC qualifications. And to support employers taking on those students, there is again £1,000 incentive for those host employers. So we'll look at some of these in a bit more detail a little bit later on. But Western College, as well as supporting people in their education and their training, we're also able to kind of close the gap between learner and employment, because at the end of the day, the whole point of the training and education is to lead somebody into a job opportunity, to lead them into a career. So at Western College, we very much see ourselves as a partner that can support you with your talent strategy, whether that's spotting new future talent or retraining people within your business or upskilling people with new skills. We very much see we have that as a complete offer for you. So post-16 choices, there is a reason why we're talking about post-16 that will lead into obviously more construction specialism in a second. But ultimately, the future for people post GCSE are either to go down that academic route and complete a traditional A-level, or the new technical route and pathways are through the technical levels or T levels, or through the apprenticeship programs, which the technical levels very much involve the work experience on site. So if you're thinking about apprenticeships, apprentices are 80% doing on-the-job work and gaining that experience through the job itself with a hands-on approach, with about 20% of off-the-job training, which is any classroom delivery or learning new skills. The T level is slightly different. It's kind of flipped on its head. So that learner at the age of 16 or potentially 17 or 18 will spend the first year of their course doing the bulk of their learning. So it's all theoretical. And then in the final year, they'll go on to do an industry placement. So ultimately, the purpose of these technical routes are to prepare people for skilled employment. So T levels. So the T levels are a 2-year course. They're the equivalent of 3 A levels, and they provide technical and practical skills that are needed within the workplace. And in the same way that apprenticeships are built by employers for industry, to fill a specific need or skill area, T levels are exactly the same in that premise. So T levels have been developed in collaboration with employers, and they're very much geared around 3 key strands of knowledge, skills, and behaviours. So the knowledge is what that person will learn in the classroom environment. The skills are very much what they're going to develop as a follow-on from the knowledge in their work experience placement or their industry placement. And then the idea is that once that person started to get that embedded knowledge and those skills, they start developing the relevant behaviours that go alongside that profession they're going into. So, for example, somebody working on a construction site would then learn to develop those behaviours around health and safety awareness and behaving professionally on site, and obviously not putting themselves or anyone else at risk. That becomes a second nature. The T levels are a mix of practical tasks, projects, and exams, and they are very, very meaty qualifications. The entry requirements for somebody to do a T level are significantly different from the BTECs. The learner needs to be able to come in with a certain standard and level of maths and English. Now, if somebody isn't quite hitting that mark, there is the opportunity to do a transition course to prepare them to move forward onto the T level, and so they can follow that technical route. The industry placements themselves need to last for a minimum of 315 hours, which equates to about 45 days in the workplace. And there is £1,000 incentive for any employer who hosts somebody on a T level. So here at Western College, we deliver the construction T level, which is geared around 3 key pathways of design, surveying, and planning. In the first year, as I said earlier, that learner will completely be in the classroom environment, and they will cover things like health and safety, science, design, construction built environment, and almost kind of cover off all facets of construction. As they've completed their first year, they're starting to think about, actually, what career path do I want to follow? And it's in the second year that that learner will then sort of decide, right, well, I want to go down the design route or the surveying route or the planning route. And then the industry placement ties in with that area of specialism that they choose to go down. So any employers who are interested in getting involved with this T-level agenda and hosting a student, you know, if you have design opportunities, if you've got projects going on that are pre-construction that a T-level student could support with, and or surveying or planning, we'd be very keen to talk to you. So the benefits for employers around T-levels: they will support you with developing clear pathways for people into the sector. It will give your staff an opportunity to mentor somebody and maybe sort of start to develop some leadership qualities and build on that, on their own skills. The T-level itself can also provide a workforce talent pipeline. So it might be that the student that you host, actually you see a lot of potential in them, and actually it might be that their next steps would be an apprenticeship with yourselves, or at least you know, or either that or to go straight into employment with you. So there's lots of benefits for employers in getting involved in this T-level agenda. So don't take my word for it. We have a little video here from Wilmot Dixon, who are providing us with one of their testimonials. So I will press play.
Hi there, my name's Danielle Haskins and I'm the Social Value Manager at Wilmot Dixon Construction, covering the South West. We've chosen to partner with Western College due to the relationship that we've formed with them already. We work really closely with them and their students.
It's extremely important for us at Wilmot Dixon to be able to offer students who are undertaking T-levels industry placements, because firstly it offers them the first opportunity to set foot inside a real live working environment, and then secondly it allows them to relate what they're studying in the classroom to real life experiences in the construction industry.
We're endorsing T-levels. They're a new qualification and they're a really great benefit to students studying it, because it gives them the opportunity to marry up what they're studying with real life work experience. I think it makes them a lot more valuable when they finish their studies, because they understand you know, what the world of construction actually is on a day-to-day basis.
And we're also supporting the CITB on-site hub that they're running, which allows participants to come in and get mentoring, training and a CSCS card. And along with other contractors, we're offering them work experience on our sites across the South West. With this, it means we're already offering work experience, so that means that that opportunity will also be open to T-level students. And as we previously mentioned, not just work experience, but we're able to do things like careers talks, help with presentations, and basically any industry upskilling that they need. So we look forward to working on that partnership with Western College going forward.
Okay. So then, if we start looking at traineeships. So if you have a potential opportunity in your business to maybe look to take somebody on an apprenticeship, you might want to consider looking at a traineeship first, especially if you're looking to be diverse within your business and also look at the future, the pipeline of new talent coming through. So traineeships are a government funded programme. They don't cost the employer anything at all. Therefore, students between the ages of 16 and 24. Now, this could be somebody that might fall into what we call the NEET category. They're not in education, employment or training. It might be that somebody has not secured their next step for the September intake because they're not entirely sure which way they want to go. It might be somebody that is not quite ready to take on an apprenticeship and they need to develop their maturity level in terms of employability skills. So things like understanding the value of, being on time, being punctual, not messing around on your phone on site because it's dangerous, and those kind of things. So they start to develop those kind of skills and understanding before they reach the workplace. The key thing with traineeships is they include a work experience, placement with them, and ultimately this could look like 2 to 3 days a week with an employer. And in a perfect world, that traineeship would progress on to employment or progress into that apprenticeship opportunity. The traineeships themselves can be bespoke to your business. So if you sort of had a desire to take on, I don't know, maybe 3 civil engineering apprentices or 3 brickwork apprentices, we can tailor the programme that's delivered to those students in college to make it relevant for the area of the industry that you want to develop them in. As I said earlier, there is opportunity for traineeship host employers to claim £1,000 incentive. The people don't necessarily need paying. They don't need paying for that work experience. That's all part of their course and part of the journey. They are a really great opportunity for trialing people before you make that commitment to go into an apprenticeship programme. So apprenticeships. So if we just start from the beginning, there was a big reform in apprenticeships back in 2017, and it meant that any employer with a wage bill of over £3 million was required to pay a percent of their annual wage bill into this levy pot. The levy pot then is ring-fenced money for that employer to be able to spend on apprenticeship training. For any small employers, there's something called a co-investment model in place. So the government you would pay 5% of the cost of training, and the government would put in the remaining 95%. With the reform, it also meant that there was opportunity for existing members of staff to access training through the apprenticeship model, through a career development apprenticeship approach. So, for example, it might be that somebody has been on site for a labourer for a number of years, and actually they've got the potential to step up into that site management route. So the apprenticeship could be applied for them to get their training, the relevant training and qualifications that they need for that. So apprenticeships, as I said, are for new recruits and for existing staff. They are available from level 2 right the way through to degree level, which is what we deliver at Weston College. And very much in the same way as the T levels, they're all geared around the knowledge, skills and behaviours. In terms of accessing the funding for the levy, if you are a levy paying employer, then you will have probably somebody within your business that manages your digital account. So if you needed or wanted to take on an apprentice, it'd obviously be able to internally make sure that everybody's aware of what the plan is, so that the funds can be paid through the levy, and it works like a direct debit. So you kind of split the value of the apprenticeship across the term of the apprenticeship duration, and then it just drips out of your account on a monthly basis. For any small employers looking to access that funding, you'll need to register through the government gateway. That will set you up with your digital account. There's a really good step-by-step guide on how to do this. And then you'll be required to reserve your funding. So you have 3 months to reserve your funding to take on an apprentice and get them started. There are potential opportunities through various different projects, if you're a really small employer, to get some support with the paying for that additional 5%. Through various different schemes. So if it's something you're interested in, then please do obviously reach out and get in touch. Obviously, I already touched on the fact that there's the £4,000 incentive. We're excited to see what it looks like next, because even though we've gone through a great period of trying to recover from COVID, I still think there's a long way to go. So hopefully the government will provide us with some future good incentives. If you're looking at apprenticeships for your business and you need some recruitment support, we have a team of ex-commercial recruiters who will advertise your vacancy for you through the National Apprenticeship website and through the local forums. They will go through a shortlisting process, and essentially you still choose who you decide to take on as your apprentice. It's your business, you've got to get the right person in. The nice thing about the apprenticeship reform, as I said earlier, they've been built by employers for employers to use in very sector specific roles. And in line with that, the part of the reform meant that employers needed more involvement in the apprenticeship delivery. So there is something called an employer training plan that gets developed by yourselves in partnership with the college to make sure that you're teaching your student, your apprentice, in your way. And we're there to support you through every step of the way in that sense. And in line with that, partnership approach to apprenticeships is absolutely key. So what apprenticeships do we offer at Western College? So in terms of our construction apprenticeships, we have carpentry and joinery level 2, advanced carpentry and joinery, level 3, that should say. We deliver bricklaying level 2, plumbing and heating level 3, installation, electrician and maintenance level 3. In terms of our civil engineering offer, we deliver the groundworker apprenticeship at level 2, the construction plant operative, which is a level 2 qualification. Beg your pardon, level 3, the civil engineering technician, and also construction site engineering technician at level 4. So that's in line with an HNC. I'm going to hand over to Ben now to talk about the OSATs as part of an adult funded offer. Over to you, Ben.
Thank you, Lou. So OSAT is something that we've been listening to our local community with and through some of our advisory boards, and we've noticed that there are people who are working on site who are more than capable of doing some of these trade areas, but have not managed to be able to go and get qualified. They might not have been able to fall into some of the funding brackets. They might be in a position where the employer can't afford them to give up one day a week to go to college. So what we've had to look at, and we've worked with the awarding bodies to be able to over what's called an on-site and training framework. This is a NVQ based qualification. So it's an assessment based qualification. So any person who enrolls this would stay into the workplace. An assessor would come in to the workplace and observe the work and the level of work and the quality of work, as well as the attitudes and behaviors of that individual against a set criteria. This isn't much different to what we do with our normal apprentices. However, this is designed to support people in industry. So it's a fast track version, providing the candidate is up together and is quite proactive and communicates well. These NVQs can be completed in as little as 10 weeks. So it's more of kind of a process that we have to go to make sure that they meet the minimum standard to be out on site. So these are becoming quite popular. So what we have put together some set criteria is that if you're interested in participating in one of these, you have to be working in that industry for a minimum of 3 years. So quite often you get, for example, bricklaying labourers who have just over a period of time worked up to the point where they can lay, and they can lay quite well. And the employer wants to get them qualified. So we can do that alongside them. They must be able to prove that employment through CV, but we can also use employer recommendations in the employment history from the employer to be able to prove that. The individual must be 20 and over. We can't do anything younger than that, because that will sit into the 16 to 19 groups that you may have heard us refer to. So it needs to be 20 and over. You must be able to provide the necessary assessment criteria in the workplace. If you're doing a carpentry OSAT, but you're not doing any woodwork, that's not gonna work. We need to be able to sit down and plan out what the evidence we need to see between the candidate and the employer, and say, these are the range of work that we need to see over the next few weeks. Can you provide that? Yes. If not, let's look at how we can get those evidence for you. Are there other places in your industry that in your employment that are providing those. So we'll work as a bit of a trio to try and find out how we can get that evidence for you. And how it really works is there will be a set of underpinning knowledge questions, and the candidate will work through these in their own pace, and they're all specific to a kind of unitized approach. Normally first fix, second fixing, health and safety, kind of materials and construction practices type questions. And over a 10-week period, you should get 4 to 6 visits from the assessor to come out and observe you on site, to come and talk to your employer. And what the role of the assessor is to gather evidence to prove competency. The assessor will use photographic evidence, will take statements from employers. If you're not on big sites and you're doing kind of private and residential stuff, they'll talk to the customers and see if they get some feedback from the customers for you on that side of things. And they'll talk to, they use every method possible to try and gather some evidence. Once that's happened, there'll be a professional discussion at certain points as well. So we'll sit down with the assessor and we'll talk through. And the whole point of this process is you're trying to prove competency to the assessor. Once the assessor is happy and we've got enough evidence, we can then submit the MVQ for verification, and all being good, then you can then manage to get your MVQ in your area, which will then allow you to go on to do other things like get your CSCS card, or then to look at top-ups if there are specific top-ups in your area. Currently, the initial offer we're looking to put out is carpentry, bricklaying, painting, the dry lining, fixing and finishing areas, plastering, roofer, slate and tilers, and wall and flooring tiling. So that's the first tranche we're going to go through to look at, but we will expand on this later as and when we can set these up.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you, Lou.
Okay, so just very quickly before we move on to constructing lives together, sector-based work academy programs. Now, if you are an employer and like a lot I know are struggling with labourers at the moment, there are opportunities for you to access sector-based work academies. Western College provide like a 2-week course to people who are out of work looking for employment, and this will allow them to gain their CSCS card, or depending whichever kind of like entry route into construction you're looking at, we can provide them with the skills bespoke to the vacancies you have. So for example, on the right hand side here, you can see roofing route to employment. So that particular program has been built by the employer to fulfill their needs with Western College. It invites people who are out of work they can access for free, and it does not cost you, the employer, anything either. In construction, that person would then get their CSCS card, and then you'll be able to look to interview from that pool of candidates. There is a request that the employer does guarantee interviews for anybody that finishes the course, but they are an excellent way of feeding staff into your positions within business. Just to build on the construction training centre, there's a few photographs of the site itself, our scaffolding provision, and a few pictures of some of our plant that's been delivered. And in terms of the commercial training that's available out there, there's a bit of an overview about the highways, groundworks, plant training, health and safety, and the scaffolding courses that are available. What I'll do is I'll share with everybody a few links at the end of the presentation so that you can go directly to see costs and things. But when it comes to our plant training, just one really important thing to point out is that we deliver the training at CPCS, NPAWS, or ITSAR level. So there is plenty of scope depending on your company needs and policies. At this point, I'm going to hand over to Mike to talk about the Constructing Lives Together project, and then I am hopeful that we'll have 5-10 minutes just to do any Q&A at the end. All right, Mike, over to you.
Afternoon, everyone. Yes, my name is Mike Hudson. I'm the project manager for Constructing Lives Together, which is a very, very, very new project. It's funded by CITB, and ourselves, Western College and Wilmot Dixon, are working together to deliver the programme. Louise, if you could on to the next slide. So why are we running Construct and Lies together? So there's a huge shortage of skilled workers in the construction sector across the southwest. In fairness, it's across the whole of the country. We are one of 7 hubs that's been designed by CITB to help fill the skill gaps. We understand with talking to other colleges that a lot of learners can leave colleges without the right links to go and find work experience or job opportunities. And there's also a lack of awareness for the amount of careers that are available in construction. I think a lot of people, when you talk to them about construction, they just look at the trades, bricklaying and carpentry. But as you will probably know, there's a lot more work involved when it comes to working on construction sites. So what do we need to achieve in the programme? There's 714 participants that we need to start the programme. 610 of these need to be employment and site ready, which I will explain in a bit more detail on the next slide shortly. And then 296 of these learners need to achieve a job start and sustain that job for at least 13 weeks. Now, the time frame, it was originally supposed to start at the beginning of last year, but due to COVID, it was paused, and we just started up in October, November last year, and it goes right through to end of 2023. We have quite a large region to cover, so as you can see, we've got the whole of west of England, we've got Gloucestershire, we've got Somerset, and the whole of Devon as well. Louise, if you go on to the next slide, please. Our delivery model. So we do have a couple or more than a couple of pathways for our learners to choose from. Now, all our learners will go through an employability week to make sure that we are giving them the right skills to go into the environment of construction. So teamwork, their communication skills, personal presentation, and all those types of things. Our first pathway is down to the CSCS and their level 1 health and safety, which is just a 1-week course. And then what we would like to do after that is to give those learners some work experience with local employers, which will hopefully then give them an opportunity to be offered a job full time. Once they've done that, there is some other pathways that they can do. So we have core trades basic levels for 6 weeks. And as you can see, pathway 3 is a diploma, which is a fast track for learners that want to see and have experience in all the different trades, and then hopefully pick one at the end of it. And then we do have our very popular pathway of our CPCS and plant training. And as Louise has gone through recently in the slides, the amazing facilities we have at Western College that we can support learners through that. We do offer a pathway for any learners that may not want to go and do the hands-on kind of work and look at kind of some site safety and site management. So we've got an introduction to that. And then our last pathway is our apprenticeship route, which I will quickly talk about a success story that we've already had with one particular learner that's gone through our programme. Louise, could you put the next slide on, please? So a big part of this programme is the on-site experience for our learners. And this is where we need to try and build a whole network of employers across the Southwest to help us achieve that. So once a learner successfully passed their course, we will link them up with employers that we are hoping that are recruiting. And the idea is that they will have a week to 2 weeks. It can be a minimum of 2 days, but we will try and always push the learner to do a week at least of work experience with that employer. And from an employer's point of view, it is looked at as a work trial to see how they get on, and if they make a good impression, then they will offer them a job at the end of it. A learner may come to us already with an employer in mind before the course, which is absolutely fine. We just need to make sure we get their details and confirm their position. And as I said, the second option, a lot of learners don't have links with employers, but then we can understand what that learner wants to try and achieve. If they've got a specific trade that they're interested in, whether that's carpentry or bricklaying, we can find a employer that is looking specifically for that kind of skill set and link them up with them that way. And if a learner is unsure with what path they want to kind of take, then we are working with Wilmot Dixon, Boyds and Galliford Try currently, our tier 1 construction companies, that they can go to one of their sites for, again, week or 2 weeks and have the kind of exposure to all the different trades and different jobs that are going on at that time, to give them a real kind of insight of what's available, and anything they really like, they can take that away and maybe pursue that going forward. For learners that have gone through the programme but haven't been able to find an employer that is able to offer them a job, we are working with the below recruitment agencies that will be able to find work for them quite quickly, as we've already alluded to, especially certain job roles. There's a big demand for them at the moment. But if you go on to the next slide, Louise. So as I've already mentioned already, my big focus, so we've done 2 cohorts of learners so far, and what I need to try and achieve now is build the network of employers across my area to help me get the learners into work experience and job opportunities. What I would like to achieve is when a class of learners come in, we have all the potential jobs available in front of them straight away to really build that engagement up and their buy-in to the programme, and really give them a path for them to strive towards, knowing that if they complete this 2-week course, there's a massive opportunity for them at the end where they can find some full-time employment. And again, for employers, find future talent. So we had a young gentleman who did a course. He lives in a village outside of Weston, doesn't have a car, and he's got his level 1 carpentry, and he really wants to pursue a career in carpentry and is really looking for an apprenticeship is also, but he had no links to any employers in the local area to have that opportunity. But he went through our programme, and I've managed to link him up with an employer in Weston, where we are based, who is looking for an apprentice. And he had his week's work trial, and he made such a good impression that he was offered the apprenticeship role on the spot, and I've had really, really good feedback since from the employer and the learner, who's having a really good time. And there's obviously other funding training available with our CPCS and plant training that we can utilise as well due to our fantastic facilities. So some really good opportunities for employers. But as I keep saying, the main thing we want to try and achieve here is to shout about the project. It's here for another two years, and a lot of employers can take a real advantage of this and use it as a kind of recruitment channel. But yeah, my details are on this slide at the bottom, so feel free to note them down. If you want to have a chat after this meeting, then please kind of link up with me and we can arrange something.
Thanks ever so much, Mike.
You're very welcome.
So just to finish off then, so we will build with you your talent strategy. So obviously you've heard about a variety of different ways that we can help you secure new talent, recruit new talent, and also retrain, upskill and progress the talent you already have in your businesses. So if you would like to get in touch about finding out more, or to come and have a tour of our facilities, we'd be more than delighted to invite you in, and you can contact us at employers@weston.ac.uk. All right, so let's open the floor to the questions.
Thank you, guys. We've not got much time, so we're going to have to whip through this. Can we just, first of all, Abraham, see the results of the survey, do you think, please? That would be good. So have you considered that a college can support with talent strategy? Let's see what the results are in here of those that have participated. Only 11 responses, but it's about 3/4 that say yes. Question 2, please, Abraham. Are you confident in your training needs? 3/4, or only a quarter saying yes. So 3/4 either not sure or no. That probably mirror images the UK construction industry, I would think. Number 3, there's a cynic in me. Number 3, do you know how to engage in funding? 3/4 saying no. So I think there's an obvious area for opportunity there. Number 4, do you see the future of your business changing with the green agenda? Yes, pretty much overwhelmingly. Yes, and no surprises there, I think, with climate crisis being our number 1 topic. And how confident? That's reassuring. That we've got 2/3 that are confident, so that's good. Okay, let's go to the questions. We're not going to do them all. I've had some texts and emails from my chair, who's put a couple in. He said, could we pass on? So if we could pass on that one. My chair is Mr. Anonymous. I want to go to a question from Kevin first, if I could. I'd like to go to the ones that are named. So do Western College have any plans to set up courses in MMC? That's an interesting one.
I think that's a question for Ben.
Yeah, I'll take that one. I'm happy to take that one. So what my role is to not only to put on the training provider, but is to review and reflect upon what we offer. And it has to represent what is in my local area, and it's also to represent what is a need for the local construction environment as well. So what I would say is yes and no. MMC is very much on the forefront of what we're doing at the moment, and is a kind of a hot agenda and a new way of thinking for construction. But it's something I would encourage you to get involved with our advisor groups and be a voice of us with us, so we can help drive that agenda. In the short term, no, but yes, it is very much on the forefront of what we're doing and where we're steering towards.
Okay. I'd like to move to a question that's actually been put in the chat box. A question for Louise. How can international students access to T-level courses? Any visa requirement? So you can probably read the rest of it. It's quite a long question, but
yeah, sure. So I think Ben's probably the best one to answer this, actually, in terms of eligibility for programs. Sorry, Ben, come back.
Sorry, I've put off mic to be quiet. Right. So if you have the right to work in the UK, you also have the right to access education in the UK. The best thing is about your personal circumstances is to engage in a dialogue with us, and we can look at what you're available to access. It's all done on individual basis, so it's quite difficult to say yes or no to, but it's definitely worth to come and have a conversation with us and our team to look at your status and your individual circumstances to be able to give you a personalized answer to that. Sorry, it's not a straight yes or no, I'm afraid.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's look at this final question. Is OSAT from Western College available in Gloucestershire?
Yes, again, we can support you with that. Come and make contact with us, and we can look at when and where and how we can facilitate that with you. Okay.
Right, it's 2 minutes to 1, so we're not going to be able to go through any more of the questions. So what I would like to do now is just first of all tell you about the CPD certification that you can gain if you want to. You need to go to www.mypropass.co.uk, and then you have to put in the code VDJZ-7388. And then you will be able to print off a CPD certificate for the learning from the last 60 minutes. So that's available to everyone. We've also asked you to take part in the exit poll, if you would. And that's back at Slido. I see. Well, we're promoting Monday first. We've got an extra a webinar taking place on Monday. This is going to be of particular interest. It's big news across the UK at the moment. Professor David Mosey issued this latest gold standard only about a week ago, and the interest has been huge. So we thought we ought to capture it right at the beginning, in the infancy, if you like, of its launch. The only date that David could make is next Monday. So that's why we're not doing it on a Friday. But please, if you are interested in procurement, then please have a look at this next Monday, 12 o'clock. Now then, we've got the exit poll, haven't we, Abraham? We should have the details back up available, I hope. Coming up next, the Slido hashtag, yes, the feedback survey. There we go. So it's slido.com, hashtag LM210122. Please do fill in that form because it gives us a good flavor in terms of what you thought about today. And so we can arrange, future Friday seminars and webinars and so on to make sure that they meet your needs in exactly what you're interested in us providing. So just leaves me now at 1 o'clock to thank Howard and Abraham at Leaders Meets for hosting our webinar as always, and to thank Louise and Mike and Ben for your time and for your expertise and knowledge that you've been able to pass on. I wish everyone a very good afternoon, and I see you on Monday. Cheers. Bye-bye now.